Hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining and welcome to the first meeting of the regional team for Central and South America of the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Centers. So it's a long title, you know. This project is under the auspice of the Decade of the Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, as you know. What brings us together today, I suppose, is the awareness that we need to increase the predictive capabilities of the ocean forecasting systems that we developed. And there is expectation that this can be done through collaborations. Operational forecasting in South America is in its infancy, even so the needs are growing very rapidly. It's a complex field that calls for a wide range of expertise and long-term efforts. And I hope this expertise is represented today so that we can have an interesting discussion. So this first meeting is meant to better know each other, what we are doing in terms of forecastings at a continent scale. And it is surely the starting point of a wider discussions within the modeling and observational communities in South America. There is also the hope that this project, the Ocean Prediction Decade Center, Collaborative Center, will provide the international framework we could rely on in the future to develop ocean forecasting in South America. So without further delay, I will leave the floor to my colleagues. But prior to that, I would like to mention that talks are going to be in English. But during the discussion, we will also allow questions and answers in Spanish and Brazilian. So please feel free to ask. Colleagues are here who could help translating when necessary through the chat on Slido. Slido will be explained later. So please do not hesitate to ask questions. We aim that this event to be as welcoming as possible, encouraging everyone to express themselves, from young researchers and students to the most experienced participants. So prior to the presentation, Romane will explain the organization of the sessions and the technical details of the meeting. So please, Romane.
Thank you very much, Boris. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and I'm happy to see that we have 100 participants so far, and the number is keep growing. So welcome, everyone. Here is the agenda for today. We will start with the first session, introducing Ocean Prediction DCC and the regional team for South and Central America, with someone from IOC UNESCO, from Mercator Ocean International, explaining the Ocean Prediction DCC within the decade and what the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Center is, and the plans for the regional teams. And then we will have an overview of the operational system in South and Central America by Clemente. And we will end the first session with a Q&A session before launching the session 2 dedicated to stakeholders and relevant activity and presentation from the region that will be chaired by Alberto. And last, we will have an interactive session through Slido. I will just explain that in a few seconds. That will be chaired by Enrique Alvarez, the technical coordinator for the Ocean Prediction DCC. So just a few house rules. First, if you want to use the chat, please use the right bar on your screen instead of the bottom zoom that is, I think it's blocked for you. It's blocked, so you have the right bar exactly for this. Please chat in Spanish, Portuguese, English, as you want, we'll understand. And regarding the Q&A session and the interactive session, you have the Q&A that is showing right now on the screen. It's at the top level. If you click on this, yes, you will have this QR code or below directly the place. Scan this QR code to be able to ask your questions through the Q&A tool. And when we will reach the session 3, the polls will also be asked there. So please, when you ask a question, don't forget to add to which speaker and panelist you are asking a question for. So that will for sure ease the process when we reach this Q&A session, and we can address as much question as the time allows. So I think this is mainly it. Without further ado, I think we will go to the first speaker. So it's Alison Clausen from IOC UNESCO. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us today, so she recorded this video to present the Ocean Prediction DCC in the wider context of the IOC UNESCO UN decade. So thank you.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alison Clausen. I'm a program specialist at the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, and I'm also the deputy coordinator of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And I'm thrilled to welcome you all here today for this regional meeting for the Decade Collaborative Centre for Ocean Prediction, which is so generously hosted and supported by Mercator Ocean International. I just wanted to give a few opening words about the decade as a start, where it came from, why we've embarked on this adventure, but also really the importance of ocean prediction and the particular importance of this Decade Collaborative Centre within the decade. So the Ocean Decade, as we fondly call it, was really born out of the fact that ocean science and ocean knowledge are central to so many facets of sustainable development. If we're thinking about food security, if we're thinking about education, resilient cities, if we're thinking about renewable energy, ocean science and knowledge is needed for all of these facets of sustainable development. And the decade, which started in 2021, is now entering its third year of implementation. And I think this centrality of ocean science and the need for relevant and timely science and knowledge on the ocean is really greater than ever. But the opportunities are also greater than ever. You know, last year it was called the Super Year of the Ocean. There were numerous global conferences and meetings and convenings. This year there have been incredible advances in terms of new agreements and advances on the negotiation of a treaty around plastic pollution, around biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And there's, I think, a really strong and growing awareness of the importance of the ocean for climate, for biodiversity, and for human health and well-being. The work of the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy has really encouraged governments and other partners around the world to really start acting and develop tangible and actionable commitments and engagements to sustainably manage the ocean. So the Ocean Decade is part of all of this. It's part of these opportunities. It's really a rapidly growing global movement that's playing an increasingly important role as the engine of ocean science and ocean knowledge to feed these initiatives. For those of you who know it, I'm sure many of you do, the vision statement of the Ocean Decade is the science we need for the ocean we want. And the decade is structured around 10 Ocean Decade challenges, which range from marine pollution to ecosystems to the ocean climate nexus to sustainable blue food, but which importantly also look at some of the key pieces of infrastructure, the Ocean Observations Network, looking at digital infrastructure, the pieces that we need to be able to meet some of these big challenges. And of course, ocean prediction is really central to all of this. The Ocean Decade has grown rapidly since it started, which, as I said, was in 2021, and it's really been wonderful here at the IOC of UNESCO, which leads coordination of the decade, to see that growing momentum. There are now 48 global programs. We just had our 48th program endorsed. They're working across all 10 decade challenges across all ocean basins. But there are still notable geographical gaps in leadership. There are challenges in getting skills, access to partnerships, access to data, access to technology in least developed countries and small island developing states. And that's why, you know, one of the reasons why we applaud this initiative of Mercator through the Decade Collaborative Centre to set up these regional hubs, because it's so important to be able to translate the global ambition of the Ocean Decade to the regional level and start filling some of these geographical gaps that we're seeing in the decade ecosystem. So these 48 programs, we also have close to 300 projects now. And if we're going to achieve the stated aim and vision of the decade to have the ocean we want by 2030, we're going to need massive amounts of coordination to ensure that we really are having a collective impact. And from the outset, the Ocean Decade was structured within UNESCO to have a very light and central coordination structure. But the aim was really to rely on partners with deep thematic and regional expertise and networks to take the decade to a level where impact could be achieved. And Mercator Ocean International was one of the first partners to rise to this challenge. via the establishment of the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Centre. And I think it's fair to say that Mercator has really become a model for others to follow through the innovative approaches that they're using to regional engagement, community creation, knowledge sharing, catalysts of partnerships. And IOC UNESCO and the Decade Coordination Unit sincerely thanks Pierre, Enrique, and the whole team for their leadership and engagement in this regard. Now, Mercator is not alone. Other Decade Collaborative Centres, Decade Coordination Offices have been emerging. We now have Decade Coordination Offices focusing on ocean observing and data sharing, and both of these are actually housed within UNESCO itself. And so in this way, the Ocean Prediction DCC of Mercator is really able to play an even stronger and more impactful role by working with these other Decade Coordination Offices along the whole ocean science value chain. 2024 is going to be a critical year for the decade. It's going to come fast. We're already very, very close to midway through 2023. The 2024 Ocean Decade Conference is going to be a seminal moment for the decade. It's going to take place in Barcelona in April, from the 10th to 12th of April 2024. Pre-registration has opened, as has the call for satellite events. So have a look at the Ocean Decade website and find out more. And that Ocean Decade Conference, of course, is going to be an essential part of the preparation for the 2025 United Nations Ocean Conference. With the support of Mercator, the DCC and other partners, we hope that the ocean forecasting and prediction community is going to be able to really seize these opportunities, these events, these major global convenings that are coming up to grow and to continue
This meeting
to
is being
catalyse
recorded.
new and innovative partnerships and sustainable development solutions. So having these discussions like today at the regional level is going to really ensure the relevance, the uptake of the results. And this meeting is so important. I wish you all wonderful discussions. I wish I could be there with you in person, but unfortunately I'm traveling and I'm committed elsewhere. But I really look forward to continuing to collaborate in the framework of the decade with the team at Mercator, with the Decade Collaborative Centre, and with all of you to collectively achieve the vision of the Ocean Decade for the ocean we want by 2030. Thank you very much. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Oops. Thank you, and welcome for the participant who just joined us during this video. Without further ado, I will now introduce the video of PierreBahurel, who is the CEO of Mercator Ocean International, which is hosting the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Center. So, Nelson, you can start.
Dear colleagues, dear friends of Ocean Prediction, I am PierreBahurel. I'm the Director General of Mercator Ocean International, which is the organization that has been entrusted by IOC UNESCO for the implementation of Ocean Prediction DCC. I'm fully convinced that this is timely, this is necessary to deliver as one community, worldwide community for ocean prediction. And we were ready with Enrique Alvarez Panchul, the technical coordinator of the DCC, to fight for this, to work with you. But we were not prepared to receive such a response from you, from the community, about the appetite for doing more. So yes, we will do that. I have the feeling, and more than that, that there is something happening in our community of ocean prediction. Political leaders, they have decisions to make for the ocean, and they turn to us. They are looking for the data, they are looking for evidence, they are looking for this digital oceanography, the modeling, the prediction, to explain more. And we are there, and we are ready to deliver. And we are more impactful than we think, and more organized than they think. So this is exactly what this Ocean Prediction DCC is about. Organize our community, make it clear, visible, and impactful, and be ready to deliver as one at the end of the decade. But we will do more, and every year we will deliver, and we can trust Enrique for this, to steer our group to really deliver. And this year we want to deliver two things: a map and a plan. A map to put each of us on the map and be able to identify who is where and what are the best practices for your region, to share them with the other region. And the plan to explain what we want to do all together, the standards, the technical background that we want to share, and how we will deliver as a community. A map and the plan. And something which is very important is that this Ocean Prediction DCC is a collaborative center. It means that this is a bottom-up approach. We will work from the programs of the UN decade, this fantastic momentum that has been creating with programs that are gathering the projects and the actions. So we will play with the program leaders and the teams to identify what is mature to organize this community. And we will play with the regions, with your region, because we do believe that the best experts in your area are you. So we want to understand from your region what can be shared with the others, how we can work together to deliver as one in this Ocean Prediction DCC. So I wish you the very best for this meeting, and trust Enrique for the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much.
And now we will move on to the presentation of Ocean Prediction DCC and the larger plan for the regional team that will be delivered by Enrique Alvarez-Fenjul, the technical coordinator of Ocean Prediction DCC at Mercator Ocean International. Please, Enrique, join us. We don't see you on screen just yet. Here you go. Floor is yours.
So I should be sharing the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, but not in a diagram.
Changing. Okay, so thank you very much, Romane, for the introduction. And my name is Enrique Alvarez, and I'm pleased to explain what we are trying to achieve and what is the Ocean Prediction DCC about and why we have built those regional teams. So if I have to summarize, oops, sorry about this one. If I have to summarize what is Ocean Prediction DCC in one slide, that will be the slide that will encompass the whole idea. On the left, we have the ocean forecasting we have today. After many years developing the system, we have useful systems, but we have to admit that those are at least partially disconnected. And they are difficult to implement, difficult to build, difficult to operate. And that means that we have not a large presence of these systems in those institutions that are technologically less advanced because they are so complicated. We want to do a fundamental transformation during the decade, and we want to change to a new scenario for ocean forecasting, which is the one on the right. The idea is that by the end of the decade, we will have many more systems operating around the globe, and more importantly, they will be connected. They will be connected both from the technical point of view and from the community point of view. We will have a community supporting all these systems. So this is the fundamental change we want to promote towards many more robust systems worldwide and even many more employed systems worldwide on decision making. So for this transformation, we have this analogy of the Ocean Prediction DCC vessel. In this analogy, the captain of the vessel is the UN Ocean Decade because the DCC is a decade collaborative center. It's a cross-cutting center of the decade. It's part of this decade of IOC UNESCO. Our engine will be the decade actions like the programs very well known like COAST-PREDICT, Foresee, or DITO, and also the arrival of the concept of the digital twin of the ocean that will promote interoperability. The crew is the Ocean Prediction DCC community formed by the regional teams. This is the very important part, the core of the whole activity. And our role will be to set the course, to do the navigation from one scenario to the other one. So this is in a nutshell what we want to achieve with Ocean Prediction DCC. So as I was mentioning, in the core of everything is our community, and our community is organized through the regional teams. We cannot pretend to be influential from Toulouse to different parts of the world. It's not simply not fair and simply not realistic. So we have built this concept of the regional teams that will be promoting the implementation and use of ocean forecasting systems worldwide. We did not start from scratch. We took the best of both worlds, the UNEP regional seas and the GOOS regional alliances, and building based on that, we have constructed 9 different regions where we are building these regional teams. And one of them is the South and Central America, where we are having today our first meeting. Once these regional teams are in place, which is the case nowadays, these regional teams will serve to identify and attract a wide community: scientists, users, private sector, non-governmental organizations. This is what Pierre referred on his presentation as the map. We want to identify and attract a community, a transversal community, and we want to put this on the map of the OceanPrediction DCC community. And then we have, of course, to support the key action related to ocean forecasting and do some technical work. This is what Pierre referred as the plan, the map and the plan. And the plan is to identify gaps and way forward, to build activities for capacity development, to advocate for implementation of best practices, standards, and tools, and many other things. So that's the technical component of OceanPrediction DCC. Let's explain a little bit about these regional teams. These regional teams, in each region, we have one regional focal point. In this case, these are our two chairs, Boris and Clemente. And then we have a steering team that in every region is formed by the same by persons having the title assigned to the same special task: observation, physics, biogeochemical, climate, artificial intelligence, blah, blah, blah. So at the end, all these regions, thanks to these experts, will form a transversal network, a worldwide network, where, for example, the expert on physics on region 1 on Asia could be talking to the one on South America, and you get the idea. We will form this transversal network across the world. So in the case of South America, we have the good luck of having two fantastic chairs that are the reason why we are here today. It's Boris and Clemente, and a fantastic steering team that is already in place with names from all Central and South America, from both universities, institutions, private sector, etc. So this is a very, very comprehensive steering team. Each person has its own role on the steering team, as I explained it before. So this part, the governance of the regional team, is already on place, and we are ready to start building and developing things. So as you can imagine, there are many ways that we could do this work. For sure, there are many ways to promote ocean forecasting in the world. We have our own. We have decided our path, and this path is summarized in this slide with this virtuous loop. This virtuous loop starts on the knowledge. We need the knowledge to understand the ocean, and we need the knowledge to know how to develop systems. Once we gain this knowledge, we are able to develop these forecasting systems that should be operated and upgraded in a proper way, and the results should be used in downstream services and integrated into other platforms such as digital twins. That will generate more knowledge that will feed this positive loop, this virtuous loop. That's the idea we want to go behind. And we are not doing this alone. As I said, we are doing this in collaboration with many of the decade programs such as 4C, DITO, CoastPredict, and many others. So this is the technical idea behind our activity, and the community is here in the center of this virtuous wheel. The regional teams are here right in the middle, the most important piece, making all this work. So let's explain a little bit more of detail. The rest of my presentation will be basically to explain this virtuous loop in a little bit more of detail. Let's explain first the community. The community will be built around a main asset, which is the web page. The web was recently launched. It's still not free of problems, so be a little patient with the web page, because we are still debugging some issues. But this is where all the conversations will take place, more particularly in the forum. The forum is where you can go in. Please, I encourage you to participate in the forum, to launch questions, to be active. For the moment, the forum, we have just launched the web page. The forum is not very active at the moment, but I hope that with some little time, it will go better and better, and we will have more participation in the forum. And finally, very important, the Atlas. The Atlas is where we will find who is who in our community, I really encourage you to register in the OceanPrediction DCC webpage, register your institution, and if you're running an ocean forecasting system, please upload your ocean forecasting system. As you can see here, we have people, organization, forecasting system, and use cases. We changed the name of these to use cases. Those are downstream services. So we have a complete atlas of the activity around the globe, and this is starting to be a success. In Europe, it's quite populated, and other regions will follow soon. So please go to the webpage, register yourself, introduce the data of your institution, and don't forget to introduce your forecasting systems into the atlas. Then we have to start, with the knowledge. This green should be here on knowledge. We start describing the virtuous loop. Knowledge is the first step. And for that, we have the TÜV's Guide. The TÜV's Guide is a book that was published 2 years ago with the contribution of 80 experts worldwide. And it's a compilation of our shared knowledge. It's the basic knowledge you need to have to build an ocean forecasting system. And now we have transformed this TÜV's Guide into an interactive wiki site. So the idea is that you can contribute and put onto the TÜV's Guide your knowledge, say your experience through this wiki site. And every 2 or 3 years, we will deliver a new updated version of the TÜV's Guide. Next is the development of forecasting systems. For this, we have a new asset that will be released in September. This is on the final stages of preparation. And in September, we will release the OceanPrediction DCC Architecture Guide. This is a wiring diagram that explains how to build an ocean forecasting service. And all the ocean forecasting service that we are going to develop during the decade in the framework of the DCC will follow these specifications, will follow this wiring diagram. In fact, there are like 15 of these diagrams and a text explaining everything about how to build this an ocean forecasting system. So it's the dream reference for a person that is wanting to build an ocean forecasting system. Then you have to operate and upgrade the system. For this, also, we are going to release soon. It's on peer review because this is published like a paper under peer review. So now it's on the peer review process and it will be published soon, I hope. The so-called operational readiness level, which is a test to introduce best practices into systems. So it's a tool to introduce the use of best practices. Basically, you will test by using the operational readiness level how good your system is for production, system validation, and product dissemination. So you can see where you have to improve, and you will have a set of best practices to improve your qualification. So by doing that, we are promoting the evolution, the right evolution of the systems using best practices. So we are ending with more robust system by the end of the decade. Finally, we have the integration. And in the integration, we are working together with the Ocean Observing DCO and the Data Sharing DCO towards building one digital ecosystem for the decade. In this, the digital twins of the ocean are critical. We have DITO as one of our partners. We have OceanPredict, and we have other activities that are working towards this digital ecosystem. So the integration and the use of the data is the final part that will create the knowledge that will fit everything. So in conclusion, OceanPrediction DCC will work in close collaboration with the key partners to promote ocean forecasting and its application during the decade. The community is organized around the regional teams. The regional teams are the key to success. So if we don't have active regional teams, we will not succeed. This is super clear. First results of all these are starting to be visible. As I said, in September, we will publish the architecture, the URL, the atlas is available. So please, I cannot insist more. Go register yourself, register your institution. If you have an ocean forecasting system, go there and put the data, place your system on the map. The forum is there to support you, for you to ask questions, etc. And there are many more things coming during next year. So finally, once more, register at unoceanprediction.org and introduce your institution and systems into the atlas. So this is it. Thank you very much. And the floor is back to you, Romane.
Thank you very much, Enrique. In the overview, you should really follow Enrique's advice and register on the DCC website, and particularly on the Atlas. Maybe we can find a way to re-put the link and the QR code in the chat. I remind you that there is a Q&A session coming up. Please ask your question on Slido and specify to who you are asking a question to. That would be great. And now I will welcome on stage Clemente Augusto Souza Tanajura for an overview of the operational system in South and Central America. And he will provide more information of the strengths and the gaps. Please, Clemente, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Romane. Let me share my screen. Is it okay?
Yes, it's perfect.
Thank you, Romane. Well, thank you, Enrique, Boris, for helping us with this construction of this meeting and the launching of our first regional team meeting. So I'm trying to present you now an overview of the South and Central American operational systems, try to speak a little bit about the strengths we have and the gaps. The gaps are quite large, and we need lots of motivation to fulfill them. So this presentation was prepared by myself and Boris, but we had the help of many participants of our regional team. And I'm going to present the systems from Argentina, an effort from Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru. And this is a list, again, of our regional team. It's basically formed by experts in ocean physics, in modeling, data simulation, connection with users, and also not only ocean modeling, but also coupled ocean atmosphere modeling. We have colleagues from Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Panama, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, which is not in Central America, but it would be our connection with the North American team. And also from Colombia, I have already mentioned. Okay, so motivations to have operational ocean forecasting systems are many. Motivations in the oil and gas industry, mitigation of pollution, search and rescue, for weather and climate, where you need to have an ocean component for the evolving climate. It's key to have a coupled system. Now we can see that we are facing a kind of a neutral to La Niña conditions for the next season. And also we have here applications in algae bloom, in fisheries, and you can name it, tourism, and much more. So starting with the Argentinian effort, Argentina has the operational forecasts hosted by the National Meteorological Service. And also they work in connection with the Naval Hydrography Services. So they have today operational forecasts for ocean waves and also for sea ice around Antarctica. And they also are very much concerned with tides and tidal currents for specific regions such as the La Plata. However, they are working very hard to build a new system based in bronze and in Croco, which is called Pronomar, which will focus in the operational forecasts close to Argentinian Sea. So the system is not fully operational. They have been working up to now with the barotropic structure, mostly concerned with the sea level height, but they are moving towards baroclinic structure very soon. So a key note that I'd like to mention about this system is that to build a forecasting system is not a single task, a single person task. Is actually a task that should be promoted by a relatively large group, different experts, technicians, programmers, because it's important to produce the forecast and also to disseminate the forecast. So they are building this system with a large group inside Argentina, and they probably will involve other countries in collaboration a long time. So they have lots of universities and research centers today focusing in this development. In Brazil, we have started operational forecast in the Brazilian Navy, ocean operational forecast in the Brazilian Navy in 2009, in which we implemented a simple optimal interpolation scheme for data simulation. And under this REMO network, we could join universities, Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, University of São Paulo in the beginning, Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, of Rio Grande, and a long time, and Federal University of Bahia, where we built this data simulation system from scratch with the help from collaborations with the Chinese and Norwegian systems. So our system is able to assimilate sea surface temperature, along track or gridded sea level anomalies, and the vertical profiles of temperature and salinity. We have actually two grids, one large-scale grid that encompasses the whole North and South Atlantic and a little bit of the Indian Ocean as well. And another region that we call Met Area 5, which is closer to the Brazilian region, that has a high resolution model with a 124-degree resolution. The other with a larger domain is 124 resolution. And the system is forced with the local Cosmo integration, which is an atmospheric model produced by, developed in Germany, and also the global forecasting system from NCEP. So the Navy also has Rewatch 3 in several domains, in several resolutions to provide key information for the military action and for the public use in general. They also have a finite element method model, which is AG-CIRM, coupled to SWAN, which is a wave model that is focusing in estuaries and ports and bays. You can see here pictures of the Guanabara Bay in Rio de Janeiro and other regions in close to São Paulo and Rio. We have also developed under REMO and under the Navy an oil spill model that will be operational soon. In Brazil, there is a collaboration with CIMEMS and Federal University of Paraná, University of Lisboa, with MORID, which is oil spill model. And this is a kind of, we can downscale the CIMEMS forecasts for regions closer to Brazil, and then also have different resolutions for like a 160-degree resolution in coastal areas of São Paulo, Santa Catarina, and Paraná, and 120-meter resolution in bays and estuaries in few regions. Okay, also in Brazil, in NIMPE, we have an operational wave forecast that has been going on for a while. They have many other efforts that I'm going to mention a little bit later. And now we will pass to the Chile efforts. So we have later today a presentation by our Chilean colleague that is from IFOP. He will speak about his efforts to do operational forecasts in specific regions in the south of Chile. And they have also a system based in WRF and CROCO. And the focus is on salmon fishery industry and in the alga bloom, to forecast alga bloom. And they are also working in the development of biogeochemical models for larvae and parasites. In Colombia, there is an amazing effort that has been taken for more than 8 years. This CISPEM project that has been using GFS from NSAP for the Pacific region in the Colombian area and in the Caribbean area. So they use a WRF, do an ensemble of WRF models in the 2 different regions, changing physical parameterizations of the WRF, and this WRF feeds BROMs or CROCO in very different resolutions, from regional to coastal to ports and estuaries region. So they go from resolutions of a few kilometers. You can see it better in this other slide. You can have here from 8 kilometer to 1.8 kilometer to 160 meter, about that. So there's a series of forecasts that are produced for different applications, including wave forecast for storm surge. You can see that actually we had recently, or we are still having, a Hurricane Beryl that is running close to Colombia. So they have a storm surge, search and rescue for oil spill efforts and also for fishing. So this effort is conducted under DIMAR, which is under the Ministry of Defense of Colombia. So they have also the ocean boundary conditions in large-scale HICOM forecasts and Copernicus forecast with NEMO, and also in the NLOM, which is from the American Navy. We do have in Mexico emphasis in forecasting systems in oil spill and in biogeochemical forecasts. And these actions are very much connected to the other activities in the Gulf of Mexico that is conducted with the North America and with the US. So many of their efforts are conducted already in partnership. And they have a series of bio models coupled with ROMs. They have the FENIL model, BioEBUS, and also they are implementing Fortivar, ROMs Fortivar scheme. And in applications, they have resources from the petroleum companies, also Pemex, to boost their system. Well, in Peru, we do have a system that has been recently developed. I think it was implemented in 2023, an effort led by IGP, Instituto Geofísico de Peru. And they run forecasts with emphasis in sub-seasonal to seasonal scales. They can do forecasts of El Nino up to 7 months in advance. So here in the bottom, you can see the red line is already a 7-month forecast they have produced. And they have in the dark line, solid black line, that diagnostic mode that they use like to spin up the initial condition for the forecasts. So there are too many details of this system, but they use WRF for the atmosphere, is fully coupled through OASIS, and they use a CROCO. And they have other needs as well. For instance, for under INMAR, they do operational forecasts of equatorial and Kelvin waves for subseasonal scales with the shallow water models. So we have now a little bit talking about the strengths of our system. So the strength is that we have a large diversity of models, configurations, and applications. We have a large diversity of stakeholders, which of course can finance and can feedback the quality of the systems and help the development of the systems itself. So the scientists and at the universities and in the research centers, they are very motivated to improve their observational forecasts and observational systems as well, including data simulation. So we have some expertise in modeling, observations, maintenance of instruments. We have a motivation to disseminate the data, the analysis and forecasts. But we acknowledge that we do need collaborative networks inside each country and among South American and Central American countries, and with other countries that are more advanced in hosting state-of-the-art forecasting systems. So in Argentina, in the ProMonMar, in the project, they are very much concerned with the connection with the users. They want to involve the stakeholders and the users to engage the community and help the development of their systems. So also they are planning to have a public access to all information regarding data, analysis, and forecasts. So this is the way to go. In Brazil, we have efforts also in the National Space Research Institute, INPE, in the coupled global system for seasonal and forecasts, and also for oil spill models. So these efforts have this Brazilian Earth system model has been developed, has been under development for a while, and this other oil spill system is more recent. We also have in Brazil improvements under the Navy and the REMO network, that we prepared our systems already to assimilate SWOT data. And we did OCEs with 1 SWOT satellite and 2 SWOT satellites. For those who doesn't know, SWOT is already a satellite that is providing data not only in a collinear basis, only in along a line, but in a wide range of 2 bands of 50 kilometers in each side of the satellite nadir. So the resolution here will be about 1 to 2 kilometer resolution in the sea level anomaly or sea level height. And it will be a novel data that it will be probably give lots of new information about mesoscale systems and even sub-mesoscale systems variability. And another advancement that we did in Brazil is the construction of an ensemble Kalman filter that you can see here that the ensemble common filter is one of these lines here, the black one, and the old one is the red one, and this is the transport of the Brazil current. So you can see that we had a bias before in latitudes larger than 25 south to develop the Brazil current transport. And with the ensemble common filter, we could actually pick up a very good agreement with the other large-scale systems and observational data. Colombia is also moving to improve the systems to include rip currents, river dynamics, to have a flood map due to climate change. So very much concerned with the combination of storm surge with the sea level height increase due to global warming, and coastal erosion, and biogeochemical model, and also sediment model. So all the systems that are already implemented are moving towards improvement. So these I consider, Boris and I, a strength of the South American systems. In Peru, same thing. The perspective is to include biogeochemical models in their coupled system, and also to improve the methodology and to do bias correction associated with the global information, global model information they get to feed the regional models. Also, an effort that has been doing in collaboration under Chile, Peru, and France is to increase the number of Argo profilers a long time. You can see here in 2006, there were relatively sparse number of Argo profilers, and now in 2024, this number has increased considerably. So a long time, about 76 Argo profilers were launched. Of course, it's a small contribution to the global system that today has about 4,000 profilers, but it is important to do this effort to increase the observational systems in areas of great interest for their countries. Also, in Brazil, we are doing an effort to improve the observational system along the coast through the project Sim Costa, where the idea is to provide, with the effort involving many institutions, to have a large set of moored buoys under shallow waters that will pick up meteorological and oceanographic information for coastal processes. So the idea is that today, by the end of 2024, we will have about 13 tide gauges and 20 coastal buoys, and in 2025, new 9 buoys will be implemented under this system. And also Brazil participates in this Pirata project for a while, since the beginning in 1997. And it has also some buoys in the National Buoy Program. Not all these buoys are operational today. We have this high-resolution line called MOVAR, which is a NOAA line, XBT line, very dense. And we participate in this Samba SAMOC line in the 35 South to monitor the South Atlantic, or actually the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation. And through Renomo is a new project. There is an attempt also with our INPO that was recently created, our National Institute of Ocean Research, that will to organize all these observational efforts we have in Brazil into a single umbrella. It will help the sustainability of the system and, of course, its improvement. With respect to gaps, I have here, I'd like to mention that we need more human resources, and the training program in physical oceanography. We lack a solid infrastructure from the computational point of view, more oceanographic vessels. We need also organizational infrastructure to help the maintenance of these systems, and also not only the forecasting systems, but also the observational systems. More connection with users, and our colleague in Argentina has proposed that we do a survey in South and Central America to try to have better connection with users and identify their needs. And we did permanent financial support, because many of these activities sometimes are in a kind of a soft money. Each couple of years, each 3 years, one needs to submit a new proposal to get a new resources to maintain observational system that should be working for a long term to provide important long time series for climate purposes and for better understanding our ocean behavior. So we also lack data sharing and a public repository with a very good quality control information. We lack high resolution topographic data, mainly in coastal and estuary scales. If we want to do very local understanding, very local processes, having a very fine topographic bathymetry is key to understand deep currents and many other phenomena. So we do need high resolution data simulation to be able to simulate dense data sets, like in estuaries. Many times in estuaries you have a very dense network of observation network, but the data simulation systems have not been used in very high resolution models and with a very dense observational networks. We also need the biogeochemical forecast, and here there is a bias among between the West South America and East South America. I think in the West South America, the biogeochemical emphasis and forecasts are more developed than in the East South America. And on the other hand, we believe that data simulation is more developed in the East South America than in the West South American countries. Also, we lack data here. Sorry, it's not 200 meter, 2000. Oh no, we need deep data, deep ocean data. This is, we have only 200 deep Argo today. We have about 4,000 Argo profilers, but only 200 deep Argo that goes, makes the TS profiles until the bottom of the ocean. And also we need a course, we have a course vertical resolution of global reanalysis and course bathymetry. Then we should have that enhanced to help the local applications. So sorry, this thank you would be in the next slide, but I forgot to make this copy. And then I thank you now for your attention and the opportunity to entertain you with this overview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Clemente, for this introduction to ocean forecasting in the region. That closed our introductory session really well, and we have 10 minutes now for a Q&A session. I know that there are some questions on Slido for you and for Enrique, so I invite also Enrique to open his camera. And first question, according to the data, how long do you consider a forecast short-term, medium-term, and long-term? So maybe Clemente, Boris, Enrique, I don't know who wants to jump in from this one.
I think that I could jump into that one. I would call in here short term, just a few days. Medium term will be is depending on which world you are talking. The reply is different. For example, in meteorology, short term is hours or a couple of days. Medium term is up to 10 days, and long term is seasonal and beyond. In oceanography, we tend to think a little bit different, and short term is a few days, medium term is seasonal, and long term is climatic. So that's the way we are thinking about that.
Okay, thank you. Question solved. Moving on to the next one. Enrique, for you again. At the Southeast Pacific CPPS, we have a regional alliance for goose. How can we connect our activity with the OceanPrediction DCC?
Okay, that's a really good one, but I would like to rephrase this one, and I would like to rephrase in a different way to say how come from the OceanPrediction DCC serve the purposes of the CPPS, because as I was saying at the beginning, we are not starting in a world where there are no other activities. We are building on the regional alliances, and we want to serve those regional alliances to improve. We can serve those regional alliances, for example, by mapping the situation of ocean forecasting, as Clemente did perfectly on his presentation, by supporting better ocean forecasting systems. And also, if we work together with the observational world, we will be able to promote the importance of ocean observing. I think this is of paramount importance. From the world of ocean forecasting, we can be an authoritative voice to promote observations. And in this sense, we are really open to collaborate with all regional alliances of goose in this direction. Also, don't forget, we have on goose the ETUFs, the expert team on operational ocean forecasting services, and we are very much close with ETUFs. In fact, I am one of the co-chairs of ETUFs, and we are working very closely with OceanPrediction DCC, and we will increase our activities next year towards delivery of best practices and other technical assets we have planned. So yeah, we have a lot of ways to collaborate, and I like to think of ourselves, the DCC, serving goose and serving the regional alliances of goose. Thank you.
Enrique, I would like to know if the DCC platform provides datasets to download.
Not at this moment. It's not going to be, I don't discard that at a given moment that could happen in the future, but it's not the objective of the DCC to be a data center. It's more a knowledge center. What we are going to provide is this architecture very soon in September, as well as the operational readiness level, as well as the tools guide. So what we are providing is the knowledge in order the people can implement their own system. And of course, if you want a data set from the load, my main recommendation is you have, of course, the Copernicus Marine Service, which is providing all sorts of data sets to download freely and very easily to access.
Okay, next one is, what are the key variables and indicators for ocean forecasting system, and can we consider non-climatic contributors?
Maybe Clemente.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a tough question because all the forecasting systems are based in the ocean primitive equation, like Navier-Stokes equations. Now we, of course, have artificial intelligence that you could also use data with model, but all the ocean key variables, not only the physical, like currents, temperature, salinity, they serve for the short-term forecasts as well as for the long-term forecasts. It's very hard to decouple what is for climate purposes and what's not for climate purposes, because climate is basically the combination or the variability that it's inherited from the high frequency systems. So the high frequency systems, their high frequency variability, once it is, you take the means and the standard deviations of that, then you begin to characterize the climate. So I think that all variables are important for both short range and long range forecasts. For instance, a short range SST anomaly can produce stronger weather events, but you have permanent SST anomalies, positive anomalies, you end up having a climate anomaly in precipitation. So I think it's very difficult to dissociate the variables. Sorry if I couldn't answer better.
Thank you so much, Clemente. Next question, and I think we have time for maybe one or two more. Enrique, oh, I can see the question now, but in Chile, we have experience teaching the use of ocean model Croco. We could organize a beginning summer school for ocean forecasting in January 25. This is an information more than a
Yeah, that is fantastic. I take note, Andres, if you can write me after the end of the meeting, then I will put my email on the chat. Then we can discuss about this, because I think this is a fantastic opportunity, and we will of course be interested in somehow to participate.
Next one, Enrique, Martin from Rescate and Bolt of Venezuela asked if you could post an example of ocean forecasting, I think, used in search and rescue operation, and if you have a practical example to share.
So Enrique, if you allow, Martin, we will have today, later on, Commander Luis Claudio will present a case where Brazilian Navy used ocean forecasts to help a search and rescue operation. But this is used in the American Navy everywhere. It's a very common procedure to use the ocean forecast for search and rescue.
Thank you very much. And I think, yeah, last question, because this one is really interesting as well. And the other, maybe we will try to address them during the next Q&A session. But have we started to organize a regional team for Antarctica ocean forecast? This person is from Chilean Navy Weather Service, and he will be interesting, or her, Alejandro will be interesting to join the Antarctica team.
Yeah, the answer is yes. We have started to do that. It's not as advanced as the one in South America. In fact, of all the 9 regional teams, is the one that is less advanced, but it is formed, and we have a chair now. And again, Alejandro, I will put my email under your question, so you can contact me, and I will put you in contact with the chair of the Antarctic regional team.
Thank you. And with this, I think we closed the Q&A session for now. Again, questions are stored for the next Q&A. We will move on now to the session number 2. That is presenting stakeholders and relevant activities in the region. And for that, I invite Alberto Piola to come on board and take the floor to moderate this session. Alberto, please, the floor is yours. We cannot hear you just yet. No. Maybe try without the headset, if possible. Or maybe it's not well connected.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Okay,
yes,
sorry.
we can.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No
Good.
problem.
So we have now actually 2 operational cases to present. There's one that is connected to one of the questions in the previous session, so hold on for the search and rescue example, which will come up soon. First, we'll hear the first case we'll hear about is from the operational forecast system in southern Chile, in the Chilean Patagonia region, and that will be presented by Pablo Reche Garcia from the Instituto de Fomento Pesquero in Chile. So, Pablo, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Alberto. Hold on. So can you see the presentation?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, everyone. And thank you also the OceanPrediction UNDK Collaborative Center for having us, IFOP, Instituto de Fomento Pesquero in Chile, as this means such a great opportunity for us to reach a wider and a broad audience that hopefully and eventually will strengthen our institution's mission. I am Pablo Reche, and I'm a researcher at IFOP, and I'm presenting this presentation named titled MOSA, an operational focus system for Chilean Patagonia. What is MOSA? Well, MOSA stands in Spanish for Modelo Operacional Sur Austral, and it's a numerical modeling tool hosted in our oceanographic website, Zonas, developed by the Oceanography and Climate Group of IFOP. MOSA is delivered to the public freely in two regional domains for Chilean Patagonia, a northern domain stretching out the Los Lagos and Aysén regions, and a southern domain in the Magallanes region. MOSA allows the user through a friendly interface to explore both oceanographic and atmospheric variables in different ways, like a two-dimensional map, vertical profiles, and time series. Within oceanographic variables are sea temperature, salinity, current magnitude, direction, and sea level. And atmospheric variables are pressure at the sea level, precipitation, and wind direction and magnitude. MOSA is just one of the several other web tools or applications that are hosted in our oceanographic website, Zonas, and it's available freely at the direction zonas.ifop.cl. These other applications are either based on numerical modeling or based on direct observations and monitoring of the environment, like the RedMet of weather stations and Centro de Datos that it's a buoy network. So both MOSA and Zonas belong to the Instituto de Fomento Pesquero within the Environment Department and the Aquaculture Research Division. So MOSA is done to provide the aquaculture to knowledge information. This year, 2024, IFOP is celebrating its 60th birthday, and IFOP is an institution with several facilities and bases distributed all along the Chilean coast from north to south. In Valparaíso are based at the headquarters for both administration and fisheries division, while in Puerto Montt are based the headquarters for the aquaculture division. IFOP as well owns two vessels, the Abate de Molina that operates in the northern part of the country to support the fisheries division, and in the south for supporting the aquaculture division. We've recently launched the Doctora Barbieri vessel, named after a former colleague of us. Since its beginning 60 years ago, in 1964, the role and mission of IFOP was to promote both fisheries and aquaculture. However, that role shifted into the sustainable, recently in the last years, that role shifted to the sustainable development of fisheries and aquaculture, considering the conservation of the environment. And this can be done, thankfully, that the IFOP is an institution with a public role funded by the Ministry of Economy. So IFOP drafts, executes, and delivers technical reports to the decision makers of the Subsecretary of Fisheries and Aquaculture through the Permanent Research Program under the Fisheries and Aquaculture General Law. So why MOSA? What are the reasons behind the starting up and the development of MOSA? And that's because we belong to the aquaculture division, and aquaculture is such a big social and economic engine in southern Chile. Aquaculture in southern Chile, it's mainly of salmon aquaculture, Atlantic salmon, salmon salad, and rainbow trout, Oncorhynchus micis. Aquaculture takes place all along the Chilean Patagonia from north to south, concentrating mainly on the northernmost part in Los Lagos and Aysén regions, well, with way over 1,000 farms. Salmon aquaculture, it's the second national industry in Chile, just behind mining for copper and other minerals, and the first industry in southern regions, occupying nearly 70,000 jobs, what makes Chile the second largest producer worldwide, only behind Norway, with in last year with nearly 1 million tons a year, marketed in $5,000 million. On the other hand, mussel aquaculture is a little bit less important than salmon aquaculture, and it's concentrated only on the Los Lagos region with approximately 1,000 farms. It's a second industry, still it's a bit less important, but it's still the second industry in southern regions of Chile with 17,000 jobs, making Chile the second largest producer worldwide, only behind China, and a marketed value of $200 million. Both salmon aquaculture and mussel culture face current threats and future challenges that must be overcome. Within the threats and challenges of our salmon aquaculture, that means a high carbon and nutrient input into the environment that eventually could lead to the degradation of the seabed, changes in redox balance and benthic communities, eutrophication of water column conditions, and salmon and fish that are farmed are prone and they are sensitive to harmful algae blooms. These are some examples of the latest blooms. It's been experienced in southern Chile, but there are many others. They are also very sensitive to low oxygen water column conditions that happen naturally in some fjords and canals of Patagonia. The fish are also very sensitive to the outbreak and spread of salmon diseases of different agents like bacteria, virus, and invertebrates. And also there is a risk of extreme winds and wave events that could lead to salmon escapees. On the other hand, mussel aquaculture as well as salmon culture faces some threats like a high carbon and nutrient input into the environment. It's also sensitive to the harmful algae blooms that could lead to the slowdown of the harvest and so to the sale in the market. And it's very sensitive to the variability and uncertainty in the seed catches and the growth of the adult mussels while they are hanging in line. So it's obvious that there was and still there is a need of valuable information that is needed to manage wisely both aquaculture activities, especially in an environment, such a challenging environment as the Chilean Patagonia is, where there is a scarce environmental information. There was at the time no previous operational forecast ocean experience. with a high climatic variability from north to south, in an extensive coastline of 1,000 kilometers with a complex bathymetry, plenty of seals and constrictions due to its glacial origin, and with high precipitation rates, up to 10,000 millimeters at some points, holding the third largest ice masses in the world, excluding Antarctica and Greenland, and in an environment with complex circulation patterns of the mix of winds and large buoyant inflows of fresh water that drives an estuarine circulation. And how does MOSA work? Well, MOSA runs the CROCO model. It's a numerical model developed and derived from the former regional ocean modeling system ROMS. And it's fed with a variety of other models and products. Some of them, they are developed by ourselves here at TIPOP, like the WRF, Weather Research Forecast for atmosphere conditions, or the Virtual Infiltration Capacity Model, or BIC, run by ourselves to estimate the freshwater inflows into the marine system. Other products for initial conditions and boundary conditions of the mass field are products from Mercator. We have another two aside models still under development. One of them is the Rewatch 3 for waves and swell condition, and the PISCES and MPZ for a coupled biogeochemical model that is fed as well with another product from Mercator. So in this way, MOSA runs daily to output ocean variables like temperature, salinity, currents, and sea level for both northern and southern domains in Chilean Patagonia. The northern domain, stretching out the Los Lagos and Aysén regions, runs daily since 2017, a 3-day forecast. Its horizontal resolution is 1 kilometer with 42 vertical sigma layers. The bathymetry is a mix of GEPCO and Chilean Navy charts. And the initial conditions, the very first initial conditions were done with a spin-up of a downscaling of a Mercator product, while the daily initial conditions use a restart condition after 24 hours of the running of the day before. For the atmosphere forcing, we use our own weather research forecast model at a 3-kilometer resolution. And for the freshwater inflows, we take a monthly means of the last 40 years or our own variable infiltration capacity model. Finally, for the boundary conditions of the mass field, temperature, salinity, plus currents and sea level, we use a global analysis forecast product from Mercator. Here we can see a performance of how well the MOSA works in the northern Patagonia. In red, we can see sea surface temperature of MOSA against, in gray, data from a satellite radiometer product. Further information of this validation and other features of MOSA can be found in this paper of some colleague of us. On the other hand, the southern Patagonia model in Magallanes region, it's a newer model running only since 2021, a 3-day forecast product. Its horizontal resolution is a little bit coarser with 1.6 kilometers and the same number of vertical layers. Bathymetry, again, it's a mix of GEPCO plus Chilean Navy charts. The spin-up was done the same way with a downscaling of the Mercator and spinning up for several months. And the daily initial conditions use the same restart after 24 hours. The atmosphere forcing here uses a way coarser global forecast system because we are still under development our weather research forecast model with a higher resolution. And the freshwater uses as well monthly means for the last 40 years of the big model. Again, as in the northern domain, we use another product from Mercator for the boundary conditions. Here we can see the evaluation and performance of this model in sea surface temperature. It's still under development. Results are not so good, maybe because we use coarser resolution and coarser, again, atmospheric forcing. But still, I remind that the development, still the results are kept below the 2 Celsius degrees for the sea surface temperature. And here I'm going to present some cases of a study of MOSA and another numerical modeling products of Zonas. It's being used to estimate salmon disease outbreaks. Here we can see how the particles move and the disease is spread in some archipelago and canals of ISEM. It's being used to evaluate and assess what were the wind conditions in an event of salmon escapees in Reloncaví Sound. It's being used to assess what is the risk that the salmon farms of the salmon management areas are exposed to. It was used to assess the dispersal plume of a half-moon algae bloom in Comau Fjord in 2021. It's been used as well to assess what's the suitability of splitting up into two salmon management area, like this one in Isen Fjord. It was used to evaluate what were the environmental impacts in hydrographic, widening a navigation canal like the Kirke Canal, which is a very shallow and narrow canal for navigation connecting Puerto Natales with the outer ocean. It was used to estimate what were the main areas concentrating an oil spin. It was an event that happened in the Chilean Inner Sea in 2017. It was used to design a wise arrangement for a network monitoring buoy for aquaculture. It was used to address what were the environmental conditions that triggered a half-moon algae bloom in Arauco Gulf near Concepcion. And finally, it was used to assess what were or quantify what were the risks of an invasive alien species colonization, like the beaver from Tierra del Fuego across the Magallanes Strait to the mainland. So, in summary, we can say that MOSA was the first and only operational forecast model for Chilean Patagonia. It runs daily a 3-day forecast in 2 domains, Northern and Southern Patagonia. It's a free access and data download at Zonas website. It's been long-term supported by the Ministry of Economy of Chile. It's a highly valued tool among decision makers like the Subsecretary of Fisheries and Aquaculture and Academy. It's different topics. And we are pleased to announce that recently we've been acknowledged by the IOC as part of the UN Ocean Decade program. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Subsecretary of Fisheries and Aquaculture. Thank you to the Ministry of Economy, and of course to all of my colleagues without whom this couldn't be possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo, for the presentation of this excellent system. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. So now we pass on to the second case study from Luis Monteira da Fonseca from the Brazilian Hydrographic Center in Niterói. And this talk will be about applications of operational oceanography in protecting human lives and the marine environment. Luis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alberto. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Luis Claudio, retired captain of the Brazilian Navy. I'm also the coordinator of the Remo project that I will explain during this section. I work at the Navy Hydrographic Center, which operates the Marine Meteorological Service. Today, the goal of my presentation is to illustrate through some real case the importance of the operational oceanographic forecast service for safeguard of human life and protection of the marine environment. And to accomplish this, I will go through these topics. I will do a brief review of what is the Remo project. Then I'll talk about our oil spill model, presenting two real cases. Next, I'll present the Navy SAR model and a real case that happened last year and make some final considerations. Well, HEMO stands for Oceanographic Observation and Modeling Network. It's a great partnership between the Navy, the Brazilian oil company Petrobras, and universities. Nowadays, the federal universities of Bahia and Rio de Janeiro are still in the project. HEMO was responsible for the first operational oceanographic model in Brazil, and it's an important support to the Marine Meteorological Service. I usually say that the Remo is an example of a successful partnership because both Petrobras and the Navy, they can invest what they can. Petrobras with the funds, the Navy invests with its operational infrastructure and human resource, and both institutions obtain benefits for its main activities. In Petrobras, to support the offshore activities, and the Navy, the safety of the navigation and support the naval power. Most of our products are available on this website that we call the Marine Environment Forecast. And in this website, and we updated it daily. And in the next year, we intend to put our daily run for oceanographic of our oceanographic model available to download. Well, going through the oil spill model, in the last 3.5 years, the coupled model for oil spill prediction, the CMOP, which was developed by these two researchers, Luciana Tessarolo and Fernando Barreto, was incorporated in Remo in order to be the Navy operational oil spill model. The model is based on 3 different modules: the plume dynamics, the advection diffusion, and surface. It can run both forward and backward in time and be fostered by different atmospheric and oceanographic models. The main code is Fortran, and the post-processing is mainly done in Python. Within our project, we are developing a user-friendly interface for the CMOP to run it, trying to put some trying to put some configurations in default mode for the basic users, and allowing also some modifications for the advanced ones. In this image is an example of what will be this interface. And here is what will be the image of an example after the model finished the run. An example of an oil spill product is indicated here. where we can see the stain is likely to drift with where is it likely to drift, and the thickness and mass balance. And in the bottom right here is the mass balance of the oil stain. It's important to emphasize that we intend, after our model is ready, to put it to offer to download for any user who wants to run. The first case that I will talk about is about a slick that was identified in south of Cabo Frio Peninsula, which is an important tourist region here in Rio de Janeiro province. The Maritime Authority was concerned and asked to predict where this stain would go and drift, to be prepared to carry out the necessary containing measures. So here we can see two images, one using the CMOP and the other one using an open drift that is also an open model developed by Norwegian. And we can see the comparison between these two models after 20 days forward. Both drift to the same approximate direction. But when we compare the mass balance, we see a considerable difference. After 20 days of operation, the open drift indicates much less oil on surface than CMOP, which in this case was more accurate. In the second case, an oil stain was identified, and it was necessary to clarify where it came from. To accomplish this, it was used the CMOP in the reverse mode. The current and data wind was from our oceanographic model and from GFS. And as it was available, the shapefile of the stain, we introduced the shapefile in this model. This particularly of the CMOP to use the shapefile is very useful, and it's especially in case of kinds of case like this that we want to know where the stain came from. So we identified in this image, you can see what the CMOP tried to model where the stain came from, and it was quite accurate on the origin of this stain. And with this understand the measures to contain and mitigate the environmental impact could be planned and taken. The other case that I will talk about is from the Navy SAR model, the SPAD-SAR. SPAD-SAR stands for Planning and Decision Support System in Search and Rescue Operations. It's a system developed to the Brazilian Navy and used in its own operations. The goal is to predict the trajectory of objects drift at sea, both in forward and backward in time. It uses environmental model information to improve the quality of the forecast and was developed to speed up the quality of the forecast and the planning and monitor SAR operation. Based on the information about the accident, the system selects what rescue coordination centers to activate and the best resource available to execute the search. Of course, one of the most important things to success for the operations is the accuracy of the environmental conditions. On the left, you can see the rescue operation centers distributed along the Brazilian territory. And on the right, it's a bar graph that indicates the number of accidents reported in blue and saved lives in red over the last 5 years. The case that I will present happened on June of the last year. It was about a fishing boat that sank in Santa Catarina's, near Santa Catarina's shore. This case, despite of the weather forecast and high seas or warning issued by the Brazilian Navy, a shipping boat, the Safety Safe, left with 8 people on board to direction of 200 kilometers from Santa Catarina coast. On June 16th, the boat issued a distress call and sank, initiating the search and rescue operation. That was the last known position, and when the Navy was activated, he established a search and rescue operation. And in this image, you can see the pattern of search, and the colors stands for the most probability of detection area that it could be drift the survivors and of this wreckage. That was the search and area calculated by the SPOD-STAR model. And after some hours, the wreckage was sighted at the night of the next day, but without any signs of any survivors until that time. Then, after about 5 hours, and at the beginning of the day after, 2 days after the wreckage, it was found a life rescued with 5 people on board. And this is the image of one of our Navy vessels rescuing this life raft. These people remain adrift for over 30 hours on this life raft. At the same day, but at the night, it was found a 6th crew member floating after 50 hours of after the wreckage. And here you can see the rescue carried out by a Navy helicopter that spotted the crew member and had been floating for almost 50 hours. So I believe it's clear the importance of the safety of navigation for any coastal states. Once we all know more than 9% of all road commerce is through merchant ships. So there are no doubts within the maritime community regarding the importance of protecting the human life and sea and the marine environment. This directly impacts the freight costs and therefore the final price of products. In this context, the accuracy of ocean modeling products is quite relevant, not only because of its use in object of oil drift prediction model or at sea, or oil drift or object drift model at sea, but mainly because the countless lives saved due to severe weather warnings, lives that navigators who are warning and don't want to succeed because of this, or can deviate from this course. In this context, I truly believe that any coastal state that wishes to move towards a development or seek greater relevance in international commerce have to have a reliable oceanographic forecast service. And I really believe that in that case, this initiative of the OceanPredict DCC is the best way that we can establish oceanographic forecast service in countries that are difficult or have his own difficulties to establish it from themselves. We should thank you all and say that's a great honor to me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis Claudio, for the presentation. Very informative and quite dramatic. Thank you also for keeping up the time, both Pablo and you. I see that we already have some questions. The first question that I see for Pablo, is it possible to download data from MOSA as a net CDF? Oh, thanks. I see the questions are now being shown on the screens.
Thank you, Alberto. Yeah, well, not at the moment. We are still working on that. But what the user can do, it's directly to download Excel spreadsheets from charts and graphics. They can download time series and vertical profiles at the moment as spreadsheets.
Very well, thank you. The next question, I'm not sure who this one, perhaps Clemente can comment on this, but the question is, did you have any plans to strengthen a community of practice on oceans and for Central America?
Yes, we certainly would like to have a short-term school, as our friend Andrea Sepúlveda has already suggested. So this is a strengthening of the community. Also, we had, I think from our colleague in the regional team, Matias, or Diego, yes, that suggested to have this inquire to do a contact with the end users and know how the end users can get more engaged with our community. And we should have a white paper that we'd like to write on the gaps. It will help also tightening the community, understand our main difficulties and go after the solutions. Yeah? So we need to have a better financial support to maintain our observational systems and also our computational systems. So we have to plan, and if we do this work bottom up, it will be much easier.
Thank you, Clemente. Question from Daniel Moreira. Are you planning to share knowledge and best practices in parameterizing and assimilating biogeochemical variables in coastal areas, large rivers as the Amazon?
Maybe I can go into this one. We are as I was mentioning on my presentation, we plan to follow this virtuous loop. And on one hand, we will share knowledge. We are doing that already through the TÜV's guide, where you find a lot of information about the basics about biogeochemical variables. Is already there. We will also share some basic knowledge on best practices through the operational readiness level publication, as I mentioned. And in the future, we will go deeper into creating additional material for capacity development, which is not available yet and will come in the following years. Maybe data simulation will be for sure one of the targets of this. I don't know if it's such a very specific question like large rivers and Amazon will be possible in the future, but certainly data simulation will be one of the targets for capacity development in OceanPrediction DCC in the future.
Thanks, Enrique. Another question: do you have any methods or best practices for ocean and coastal forecasting for aquaculture?
Well, I'll jump on this one again. Yeah, certainly we have best practices, and they are going to be published soon in this publication about operational readiness level. This describes you best practices for ocean forecasting, not for aquaculture. In fact, something that we have seen recently is that we have not yet a plan in place of best practices for downstream services. And this is something to be thought in the future, because here the umbrella is so wide that it's difficult to grasp everything. But certainly we have this. I think it's going to be a very impactful publication on best practices for ocean forecasting, and certainly ocean includes coastal forecasting.
Thanks again, Enrique. Next question, will the recording be available later? And I think Romane has a comment on that.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if okay. The recording will be available on the InWing platform after the session. Yeah, that's it. It will be in all the PDF present, like the slide that you have been showing all of you will be available as well as PDF on the event website too.
Good, excellent. Thank you, Romane. Next question. The presentation is very interesting. Is it possible to get the CMOP application or tool, since I work with a simulation of hydrocarbon spills on land and sea?
Yes, it's possible, but I have to say that it's still not very well documented, so it would be quite work to run it. But our goal is to document clearly and to put to download for anyone who wants.
Okay, good. Thank you, Luis Claudio. From Enrique Martin in Rescate Humboldt. Did you launch any current markers in the maritime SAR case reported on June 17 with five people? Did you simply calculate the drift based on currents?
No, there was no current marker. It was the calculating the drift based on currents and winds.
Excellent, thanks. Pretty amazing case, actually. Next question, can you please clarify, there was apparently some sound issue, if there were any, if they were in a boat or with life jackets. I think they were in a boat, at least the first group, right?
Yes, that's right. The five first rescued, they were in a life boat, but the sixth one, it was floating in a life jacket. Other two were never lost. We didn't find it. There were 8 at all.
Thank you, Luis Claudio. I think the next question I think was already answered. So yeah, we can move to the next one. What feedback have you received from your end users regarding your forecasting systems? Have you observed an increase in the user community over time? So I guess this goes for both Pablo and Luis Claudio.
Okay, for us, yeah, we have received a lot of feedback, mainly from our main end user, that is the Subsecretariat of Fisheries and Aquaculture, and many other private or public users like university and so. The main feedback is about our suggestions about how to make the web tool easier and friendlier for themselves, you know, to get and access the data. And yeah, we've observed an increase over the years, especially after these opportunities to present our work.
Good, thanks, Pablo and Luis Claudio. We have time for one more question, and actually it's again for both of you. And this is regarding the funding for this in maintaining these operational systems. How does that work? Is it basically public funding, or, well, I know that Luis Claudio's presentation referred to Petrobras, but
yes, that's it. It's the Navy operates the Marine Meteorological Service in case of Brazil, and we don't have a Coast Guard. The Navy established this kind of work, and of course, as is it in the Navy, it's a public. But the REMO project that I presented here is a project between the Navy and Petrobras, and there is a law in Brazil that is make the oil companies to invest in some kind of development and research development technologies. So Petrobras invest inside this project to establish operational oceanographic model that benefits the company as well because of its offshore activities. I think I hope I could explain.
Thank you, Luis Claudio. And Pablo, do you want to briefly comment on?
Yeah, well, for us, thankfully, we've been so far strictly publicly funded, what has helped us to maintain our independence in science.
Excellent. Again, thank you very much, Pablo and Luis Claudio, for this excellent and very informative presentations of quite mature, I would say, operational systems that you presented. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess now we'll be moving on to the third and last session.
Yes, thank you very much, Alberto and all of the speakers for this session. We move on to the session 3, dedicated to asking your some questions. And for that, I invite Enrique Alvarez to take the floor and launch this interactive activity. And please, all of you, join the Slido, the poll section of Slido to answer the question that will be that would be displayed for you on screen. So there is several questions, and it's one by one. So you can see the first question here, and yes, please just jump in and answer you, and we will have a nice word cloud. Enrique, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So now is the time to have a little bit of informal fun with this Slido. And the idea, I see that there are already many replies on the Slido. We have a total of 5 questions for you today. And the idea is that you write here 3 few words, no more, in order to have a condensed cloud. Also, if you find something in the cloud that fits with what you are already doing, please use the same wording so the cloud gets more information on those keywords that are important for all of you. So I can see that we have 13 answers already. Those are about the question, which are the main applications that ocean forecasting is having today on the region? And we see that we are starting to have some highlighted replies like forecasting conditions. And it's kind of not giving out of information because it's a little bit vague. Ocean forecasting, of course, is providing forecasting conditions, but I understand that you mean that, for example, wave forecast is important in order to do some specific application. We can see here about more specific application now, search and rescue, linking with the excellent presentation that we just had before, oil and gas industry, aquaculture. So those are very diverse and specific applications. We have El Niño source oscillation, also as an important, which is not strange. And in general, also many inputs about specific essential ocean variables, like sea ice monitoring or coastal current forecasting, tides, currents, and climate. So it looks like there's an interest. It's like basically two kind of families are popping out. One is related with the essential ocean variables, such as wave, currents, sea ice. There are several inputs here. And the other one are the ones related to the very specific application. Search and rescue seems to be the most important one. Oil and gas, aquaculture, navigation. So these are, let's say, very classic applications. And of course, we have somebody saying ninguna. I will strongly disagree with that one. But you have to give room to all the inputs. Pollution, which is basically the same thing that oil spill fight, that I can see also. Okay, I think we have a good picture. Maybe we can move to next question because we have a limited time. But I can see here clearly these two families, a lot of interest for the essential ocean variables, and on the other hand, a series of applications that I will call like classic, such as marine pollution, aquaculture, ports, and so many others that we have seen. So the next question, I see that many of you are contributing already, is which are the main gaps for ocean forecasting today in the region? That's very interesting to know which are your feeling about gaps. At the moment, data is highlighted together with funding. Data, of course, is very important. I assume that data is both from observations and from numerical models, but funding is getting more and more importance, which is also not very strange. Capacity building and human resources are very linked, and training capacities, if you put these three together, they will build a huge thing. So capacity building with different words is also very important. Building capacity building, human resources. So I see really these three as the main ones, families. Training capacities is again related to human resources and capacity building. Boundary conditions are important. Observations is related with the lack of data, lack of infrastructure. So somebody's complaining about the biases in the hindcast mode. So there's work to be done still on the quality of the ocean forecasting, in particular on the hindcast. Data quality, again, is probably linked to that one. So in general, there are like three main families here. One is related to human resources, includes capacity development, capacity building. So we are in lack of human resources with capacity enough to work. Then we have the lack of data, which takes also several names: data, in situ measures, data collecting, and then the funding, which is the most the largest one. But there are also some very interesting one. Lack of cooperation is very interesting, and political decision is very interesting. Certainly in the lack of cooperation, we are certainly some asset that could help on that, as well as in the capacity development. So we will move to the next question. If you want, please keep on participating, because we will keep all these for the future. So don't hesitate in keep on participating on past questions, even if I have stopped commenting them, because we will analyze the whole thing more slowly in the future. So, which are the activities you think OceanPrediction DCC should focus to improve the situation of ocean forecasting in the region? Let's wait a little bit, but I can see some very interesting things starting to pop up. Organization, capacity building, training. Again, training and capacity building are almost same thing. Tutorials of models, which is again linked to capacity building. Funding and cooperation. Cooperation is certainly in our core. Funding is a little bit more difficult, but also cooperation and can lead to funding. It's not strange. So certainly you can get funding if you have a good cooperation model. Without a good cooperation model, you will not get the funding for international activities. This is clear. So cooperation is important for the funding. Training capacity, again, coordination. I can see several things. Writing a roadmap. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Writing a roadmap is super interesting. Yeah, that's a good one, I think, because it links everything. It links everything. It links cooperation, training, capacity, funding. So yeah, the problem is.
So Enrique, this is my suggestion. Sorry to jump, because this is some actual activity that we could do as a consequence of this very nice meeting.
I agree on that, and I think this is a fantastic suggestion, and I fully agree. Training, cooperation, summer schools. Look, summer school is quite linked with training and capacity building, so it really looks like there are, in this case, again, three major families of replies. One is cooperation with, again, different names: cooperation, coordination, international cooperation, collaboration. So there are several words addressing the cooperation, which is in the very core of the OceanPrediction DCC. And in fact, I really invite you to start cooperating through the webpage. I really invite you to register onto the webpage, to include your institution on the webpage and make use of the atlas of the news section to promote cooperation. So you have the link on the webpage on the OceanPrediction DCC there. It's on the application on the webpage of the meeting, so it's very easy to reach it. Please register. And yeah, I think that those are the main families. I think the largest ones are clearly training and cooperation, training with all the names and cooperation, and then with funding also being important. But training is clearly a huge desire of the community. So summer schools, tutorials, training, workshops, training cooperation, tutorial of model, training courses. So it's all over the place. So it's very important that we have a good plan for that. So let's go for next question. Again, I invite you to keep on contributing to all the questions, because we will use all this later on. Next question is, what kind of capacity development and ocean literacy activities do you believe are needed in the region? So in the previous one, you have explained that capacity development is super important for you. And now it's like we have read your mind in advance, and we are now asking you, what kind of capacity development and ocean literacy activities do you believe are needed in the region? So capacity data simulation seems to be a hard pill to swallow. It's not strange. So data simulation is very important. Best practices is more general, and I think it's also a good one. Blue innovation, training, modeling, nesting modeling is very important, I guess. Sea level rise projection, training model. I can see also artificial intelligence starting to pop up. Short courses, webinars, that's interesting. This is not about what do you want to be, but how. And it's interesting to see that you like this modality of short courses and webinars. Community data, demonstration projects. So this is interesting to learn through exemplary projects that have been successful. But it's interesting that data simulation is so important. Training modeling is gaining, as well as best practices. Those are more generalistic things. Okay, fairy drive is super important. What can I say? Of course, modeling of hazards, aquaculture. So those are very, very. And look at this one. This is also, I think, very interesting. Internships, because this is an important way for learning and to develop to develop capacity. So the most important ones are especially interesting: artificial intelligence, data simulation, best practices, and in general training in modeling. So those are the ones that looks to be more relevant, and there are many others that are also around this family, such training, best practices. Demonstration products can be understood for everything. Training on models, it's basically the same than training in modeling. So we can see this basically these four families. Citizen science, that's interesting. Maybe that's more for the ocean literacy part than for the capacity development. Blue economy development, that's also very, very nice. Yeah, I think we have a nice picture of the whole thing with these very technical aspects being demanded. Best practices, data simulation, and artificial intelligence. I think that for best practices, I'm really looking forward to have published this operational readiness level, because it's going to be very, very interesting for those demanding best practices in ocean forecasting. I think that will have a good impact. So we will move to next question. Again, I encourage you to keep on participating. And I think this is our last question, and it's also quite relevant. Do you think observations from the region, if available, are sufficient to constrain the ocean models and produce a great forecast? If not, what kind of observations are we missing? So this is your opportunity to explain what we need in the real of observation, which I guess not many of you will say that we have sufficient observations. I don't think that will be a very, very popular reply. Okay, I can see very generalistic. Also, I think you can reply with more than one set of keywords. So we need more coastal information, more ocean information, more deep ocean observation, gliders, autonomous vehicles. So it's quite a spread all over the place. Ocean observations is really, I understand by ocean observations that you mean deep water or not coastal, because if not, it's unspecific completely. Coastal information is more specific. Phytoplankton, data on shallow areas is more or less equivalent to coastal information. Nutrients, significant wave height. Bathymetry, it's starting to pop up. We have topographic data and bathymetry, which is not strange because we all need bathymetry data. Coastal information, nevertheless, seems to be the most relevant. But to bathymetry, it's very important also. Yeah, and I think it's not strange. Pressure, I understand this is atmospheric pressure. Long-term buoys, so long-term observation are really, really important. And I think that this is a challenge everywhere, to have long-term time series. But I can see that in general, bathymetry and coastal information are the most demanded specific things. So ocean atmosphere coupling is more a technique than I think than a kind of observation. But okay, if you mean to stress fluxes and radiation fluxes from the atmosphere to the ocean and so on, yeah, ocean atmosphere coupling variables related to that, it's certainly a valid answer. So I think that this is taking good shape and not changing much. Bathymetry and coastal information are the main one. Also, deep ocean is important, and the rest is quite spread. It's like radar currents, ensemble, surface meteorology, biodata. It's very important. I was expecting to see more biodata, to be honest. In other regions, we have more biodata, but somehow it's there because we have oxygen pH, which is biogeochemistry. We have nutrient, we have biodata, and so there are a few of them. And we have also high resolution tidal information, which is interesting. But for that, certainly you need the bathymetry and the coastal information. So it's quite a spread. It's quite a spread. It's difficult to read to get a conclusion, because you have basically everything that you are aware of. You have coastal information, deep ocean information, you have atmosphere information or ocean coupled atmosphere information. You have all kind of devices, buoys, HF radar currents, gliders. So it's difficult to get a very narrowed analysis, because you have almost everything on this wish list. But certainly the most relevant ones are bathymetry, coastal information, and deep ocean. So basically, we are saying here that we need a lot of information, and we are missing long time series of many things, and even bathymetry is still a big gap in this. So I think that is, thank you very much for participating. Indeed, you can continue typing, as I said. I think it was really nice, and I would like to give the word back to Clemente and Boris, so they are, as chairs of the regional team, closing this fantastic meeting we have had today. Thank you to all of you for being here, and let's stay in contact through our webpage, and let's build together a new scenario for ocean forecasting in South and Central America. Boris, Clemente, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Enrique. Yeah, well, I'd be quick. So I would like first to thank the speaker Pablo and Luis Claudio. Thank you very much for showing these success stories of ocean forecasting in South America. Of course, as Clemente showed, there are many gaps, and I hope this regional team will help in trying to fill in some of these gaps. And I would like also to discuss more these gaps in other meetings that we will be organizing. So I hope this has been a stimulating discussion, and that we will come up with concrete activities as that was somewhat requested in the questions. Thank you. Eric, Clemente, I leave you the floor.
Yes, I'd like just to thank all the participants of this session, the audience, for being with us, the DCC office, in the name of Enrique and Romane and Vincent. We are doing our best in our side to help the development of operational oceanography in our region, and you are doing the best in your side. So let us join efforts, and I'm sure that we will have a very good product in the end. There is an aphorism that says that energy follows the thoughts. So if we put our thoughts in the right direction, the energy will follow. So this is what I would like everybody to concentrate and try to put the thoughts in building this community to reduce the gaps and having a better ocean and a better world, because the next generations deserve. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.